The silence of the graveyard became even more pronounced in the darkness of the night. The moon seemed to be hidden behind the clouds, and the stars cast a flickering light in the sky. However, this light did not penetrate the depths of the earth. The graveyard had turned into a silent and dark kingdom. Charlie, the elderly graveyard keeper, was not alone in this silence and darkness. His only companion, his loyal dog Hopper, lived in the cabin at the edge of the graveyard with him. They had lived in this graveyard together for years, but strange things had begun to happen recently. Charlie noticed Hopper's restlessness. Seeing his dog wandering among the tombstones with fear in his eyes unsettled him. One night, Charlie woke up and went outside the cabin. Hopper was standing in front of a gravestone in the middle of the graveyard. He was listening to a strange sound coming from underground. Charlie approached his dog and leaned over the gravestone. The engraved letters read, "Here lies Rose Parker, 1834-1856. Charlie had never seen this gravestone before. Moreover, he knew there was no grave belonging to Rose Parker in the graveyard. Hopper still stood in front of the gravestone, his eyes shining with fear. For a moment, Charlie shuddered. Then, the voice from underground became more distinct. Like a whisper, it said, "Leave me here alone." Charlie recoiled in astonishment and took Hopper back to the cabin. When morning came, the old caretaker searched the graveyard, but found no grave belonging to Rose Parker. He wondered if he had dreamt it, but there was a lingering doubt in his mind. As days passed, strange occurrences increased in the graveyard. Charlie began to see ghostly figures wandering among the tombstones at night. Some gravestones seemed to have been moved by unknown hands. Hopper would wake up every night, barking restlessly. One night, Charlie ventured out of the cabin and roamed the graveyard. The moonlight danced strangely on the tombstones. He approached a large gravestone in the middle of the graveyard. The engraved letters screamed, "For the forgotten, justice." Charlie's heart began to race. He had never seen this gravestone before. As he stood in front of it, he heard a voice. "There is no justice in this graveyard," the voice whispered, and a dark figure emerged from underground amid the noise of the surrounding gravestones. Charlie recoiled in horror. A storm erupted in the graveyard. The wind stirred the leaves and the sky lit up with lightning. Charlie ran towards the cabin, but the dark figure followed him. Hopper was waiting at the cabin door, barking anxiously. Charlie slammed the door shut as he entered the cabin. Inside, a wave of fear washed over him. He tried to understand what lay behind the strange occurrences in the graveyard. Hopper approached him, reassuring him that he was not alone. As the night wore on, silence enveloped the cabin. Charlie watched the events in the graveyard through the window. Lightning flashed in the sky, and the wind shook the cabin walls. But the most terrifying thing was that the dark figure was still there, its eyes shining into the cabin. Charlie was determined to unravel the mystery behind the strange occurrences in the graveyard. When morning came, he gathered his courage and headed towards the graveyard. Hopper faithfully followed him. As they wandered among the tombstones, Charlie searched for clues from the past. He stopped in front of a gravestone and examined the engraved letters. "Rose Parker, 1834-1856, they read. But another gravestone nearby was even more intriguing. It bore the inscription, "Eternal peace for the forgotten, justice." Charlie looked around in astonishment. The graveyard was silent, but he searched for traces of the dark figure he had seen. Hopper barked anxiously. Charlie was determined to unravel the mystery behind the strange occurrences in the graveyard. There was no turning back now. In the forgotten graveyard, they would continue to pursue the trail of the malevolent spirits. He stood in front of a gravestone and examined the engraved letters. Hopper Parker, 1834-1856, they read. But another gravestone nearby was even more intriguing. It bore the inscription, "Eternal Peace, for the Forgotten, Justice." Charlie looked around in astonishment. The graveyard was silent, but he searched for traces of the dark figure he had seen. Hopper barked anxiously. Charlie was determined to unravel the mystery behind the strange occurrences in the graveyard. There was no turning back now. In the forgotten graveyard, they would continue to pursue the trail of the malevolent spirits. And so the dark secrets of the forgotten graveyard began to unravel. Justice was served and the souls found peace. Charlie and Hopper had solved the mystery behind the strange occurrences in the graveyard. Now, they were ready to embark on their next adventure. To subscribe to the channel for more horror stories, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.